Shalom. We are starting. I hope you have had a good meal or still having. The only thing that I remember about Lent, I read something, and I felt that it's so foreign for me. I mean, it's just like from another planet. It's not so much not part of my life. So I just learned it. But the one thing that I remember is that it's only one meal a day for like 40 days, right? One main meal. Oh, you don't know that. That's good for you. Because that's just like that bothers me. Just one main meal. It already alienates me, you know? I mean, to be Jewish, it means to be about food as well. So, but we will come to Ash Wednesday and Lent in a few minutes, but I would like to use the opportunity that Dr. Redalnik is with us, and he just spoke in chapel, and I want to give you an opportunity maybe to ask him some questions in this regard. And also I want...
Dan Rigney, when I came to the Lord in high school, my dad disowned me. Wouldn't talk to me. And Dan Rigney was a Moody grad in Jewish studies. We used to call him the Irish Rabbi. And he and his wife couldn't have kids. And he had been praying for me to come to the Lord. And I did. And he basically became my surrogate dad. And then he went off. I mean, here's this guy, knee replacement, all these different health issues. But when the door opened for him to go to the former Soviet Union, off he went. And he told me about Vladi first. He was the first person. So, but he was like he discipled me. And so we have a similar discipleship path. So anyway, let me tell you about the class, Messianic Prophecy. It's not... A lot of people think it's just proof texting. That's not what we're going to do in this class. The first about third of the week, we're going to deal with issues of authenticity of the Hebrew Bible. Can we really see it as a messianic text? We're going to deal with how the Masoretic text, how rabbinic interpreters have affected how Christians interpret the text. We're going to look at how Jewish people understand these messianic passages. And then we're going to take a sampling from the Tanakh, from the Torah, from the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim. Samplings, we'll study just 4 Psalms, maybe 5. We'll study from the writings, the Psalms. We're going to study from the prophets, from Isaiah mainly, but a little bit from a couple of others. Because you can't I really believe that the Hebrew Bible, it's messianic down to the DNA. And so you can't, if I were really going to teach messianic prophecy verse by verse, I'd start in Genesis 1:1 and go all the way to Malachi 4. So we're going to dip in at these different places. But the most important thing is establishing how to read the text, which is what we're going to do in the first third of the course. And then everything that we study, we're going to look at it exegetically. So it's not something that is imposed on the text or because the New Testament says so or anything like that. We're going to study it. And if you're a Dallas Seminary student, you'll bring your net Bible to class and you can read all the notes that say it's not messianic. And then I can show you why it is. So, okay.
Thank you.
Someone just noticed, I just want to say on these flyers it says JS 5655. This class is cross-listed, but I guess it's not showing up as JS. It's only showing up under BE, which I think for BE, if you want to register, it's BE 5555. But it counts as either a BE or a JS class.
So easy to remember.
Yeah.
55, yeah.
Or 4-5.
It's a graduate level.
How much?
Yeah.
I teach it for undergrads, the same course, without any Hebrew. But you'll have to trust me when I talk about Hebrew that I'm telling you the truth. Okay. But you don't need to know Hebrew.
It takes faith to trust.
Yeah.
Blessed are those who have not seen, but believe.
Yeah, that's it.
So any questions related to the chapel message? the Dr.
It's just a comment. I thought it was really interesting that you mentioned that when you look at commentaries that they don't even mention the Jewishness.
They don't mention the Abrahamic covenant, and so Jesus went. And
Yeah.
they don't deal with it.
Or-
I'll even go so far as to say there's a Jewish believer that wrote a commentary on Luke. You may know who he is.
Oh, come on.
And he doesn't deal with the Abrahamic covenant in that. Kevin Zuber, who used to teach at Moody, now he's at Masters. He's the chief educational officer at Masters Seminary. He wrote the Luke commentary in the Moody Bible commentary, and he's the one that mentions it.
And he's not Jewish.
Not Jewish, but he's one of the bravest people I know. When there was an anti-Israel group of supersessionists that were doing a really hostile gathering of all trying to convince Christians to be hateful of Israel, to be honest. They invited Kevin Zuber as a dispensational representative to speak to them. And he went to them and stood before them with absolute courage in Washington, D.C., and made the case for God's faithfulness to Israel. And I was just so impressed with his, not just his competence, but his courage in doing that. And I love him. So,
Based on your story from high school, are there any ministries out there that would go and set up a debate with, rabbis?
are we recorded here? By the way, are we being recorded?
Yes.
Oh, that I was going to tell you who that guy was, but I won't.
Well, what I'm saying is, at the end, when you came back, when they say it's God's works, it's powerful.
Yeah, there are groups that set up debates. Usually it's with Michael Brown,
Okay.
the apologist, and Shmuley Boteach. Chosen People Ministries have set up a number of those debates. Other places, Michael Brown likes debating. I love Michael Brown. We're friends, but I've never been convinced of the value of public debates for Jewish evangelism purposes.
Maybe that's what I'm saying. It's like not a debate, but a presentation where, hey, messianic prophecies, and then you have the rabbi side bashing everything. But as you told your story, hey, God's word gets through. And, we're always going to lose the debate, but are we going to win the war?
Yeah. I find it interesting. Jewish people, even secular Jews, we know which God, they know which God they don't believe in. And so I've talked with many secular Jews, and they say, so where is it in the Hebrew Bible that you say that you can find the Messiah? And I always ask them, I said, well, do you believe the Hebrew Bible? No, but I would like to see that. That's secular Jews. But I've never really I don't find those very helpful, because the very first time I went to one of those debates was at the high school where my kids went. It was a co-curricular event, and Michael Brown debated a local rabbi in a very Jewish high school in Buffalo Grove, Illinois. And what I saw was that Michael, hands down, he was gracious, he was kind, he was respectful, and he was right. He handled the text wonderfully. And he was just as gracious as could be. And what I found was that all the Jewish kids that went to that debate were just inflamed with anger against him and didn't hear a word he said. So I didn't see a lot of value in it. The story of my teacher, what he said to me, the whole story was that there was another professor named Levy that was a Jewish believer. I had him for history. I didn't know that. And but he had a bumper sticker about something about Jesus made me kosher or something like that. And so they had been talking. So this music teacher of mine was already open, and he wanted to see what the other position was. So I think God was already working in his heart that enabled him to hear that message.
Do you think it makes a difference, like One for Israel ministry, where people in the privacy of their home can listen to these debates versus you're at a synagogue?
I love One for Israel. I think they do a wonderful job. I know that the ministry, I work with all Jewish ministries because of being at Moody, and we train people for all the different Jewish ministries in Jewish studies. But I came to the Lord through Chosen People Ministries, and I served with Chosen People Ministries. And one of the things I love is that One for Israel, who the dean of the Israel College of the Bible is a Moody grad, and Chosen People Ministries does those videos with One for Israel that I think are wonderful. And I do believe Jewish people watch those
Yes,
online.
millions of people are.
Yeah, they watch them, and they're so well done. And they always say to me, "How come you haven't done one yet?" And I always tell them, when I retire and have some time, I'll come to Israel and I'll report.
Because the one debate I thought was amazing, Dr. Eitan Bar debated a rabbi in Israel. And it was amazing that, first of all, he even came to the debate, but then it was an excellent, and all, to your point, gracious and everything. But I think probably a lot of people got upset about it. But if they watched it in the privacy of their home,
I don't know what they would think.
without the scrutiny of their community.
I will say one thing. My rabbi friend down the street, my rabbi's grandson, after years of friendship, he invited me to Sukkot, to his sukkah, for dinner.
Yeah.
On the first night. And he said, "So your doctoral dissertation was about messianic prophecy?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, tell me about it." And after years of friendship, I could lay it all out for him. And we engaged, and it was amazing. His wife was talking to my wife. Like, "Shouldn't we stop them? Don't we want to stop them?" And he was going, "No, I think they're fine." It was very friendly. But she was nervous because he's so open. But you got to, I believe, break up the soil with relationship.
Yes, not
Thank you.
intellectual.
Yeah.
And I think that's the
Thank you very much. No, well, we need to come to the.
Sorry.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vladimir. And our friendship goes way earlier, actually. 1993, I came to New York as a young believer to be trained through Chosen People Ministries. And Dr. Redolnik was the regional director, New York regional director, correct, for Chosen People Ministries at that time. And he had oversight over my training at that time. So I took some lessons from you, like how to study the Bible.
Yes, summer training and evangelism program.
It was one thing, but then we stayed for several months.
How to read the Bible.
Yeah, exactly. It was like B101, sort of like.
Yeah.
So.
That proved I was really a Dallas grad.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Okay. Rick.
You're going to talk about Ash Wednesday?
Yes.
I have, when you have a chance, I would like to read a poem I have written by apparently a Messianic Jew called Ash Wednesday.
Really? Cool. That's very relevant.
It's not.
Do you remember this? By heart?
I have it.
Okay, find it. Find it. That's great.
Not friendly to Ash Wednesday, so you know.
That's okay. We have various opinions here and there. 2 Jews, 3 opinions. That's okay. By the way, regarding the anti-Semitism, I want you to take the stickers if you are interested in whatever number you want. And it's written Jesus against anti-Semitism. So just use it. Or with other words, join Jesus against anti-Semitism. It's a good message, and it's not offensive for Jewish people. Okay, so Ash Wednesday. You need to educate me a little bit about what it means, because it's not part of my culture. It's not part of the tradition. Just maybe you can prove to me that it's Jewish. Okay. So, but first of all, let's talk. What is that? So, what do you know about Ash Wednesday? Is it part of your tradition somehow?
I just know you put ashes on your forehead, and then they give out something for 40 days, right? Lent.
Okay, Lent. Yes. Do you know why? I mean, just does somebody who is involved in this tradition of you? Anybody?
Catholic.
Oh, okay, Catholic.
Not just Catholic.
Churches practice it as well now. And at least maybe they don't do Lent, but they may celebrate Ash Wednesday.
It begins the penitential season.
Yeah.
For before Easter and Good Friday and Easter. And but I was once on the radio, and it was Ash Wednesday, and the host asked my colleague Mike Van Lanningham, who did the Moody commentary with me, what do you know about Ash Wednesday? He said, I'm a Protestant. I don't know anything about it. And then he said, what about you, Michael? I said, that's the day that the hunting season began for Christians to attack Jews.
Oh,
Now, most people don't know that, but that's what it is. If you look at the history of the Jewish people in Europe, Ash Wednesday meant Lent was beginning, and the way you showed your spiritual bona fides was to attack Jewish people violently. And so with that introduction, can I read this poem? Is that okay?
Wait a second. Just wait a second. Let us talk a little bit about what is that.
Okay.
You will. So, what do you know about the tradition? Why do you put ashes on your forehead?
Penitence.
What?
It's penitence. It's to ashes,
Lament.
to repentance, sackcloth, and ashes. And there's an aspect of that in regards to. I think that's the intention. It's not part of my tradition. I know a lot of Roman Catholics and a lot of Lutherans, a lot of people who still do that.
Okay.
In terms of because I mean that's because where I'm from, that's where that was. I mean, you see people come in and they walk in and they go in for Ash Wednesday and they have that.
And
so there's an aspect there that's the symbolism is meant to begin the fasting season before Lent. So
okay.
no meat, no fish. You have it's part of it's supposed to be a time of reflection, what you're going to give up as Christ gave up his life for us. At least that's from I mean, my interaction with a lot of Roman Catholics, and I mean, that's where for 10 years, and that in itself is really from the theological basis, because some of it is ultimately Roman Catholic and a lot of Western church dogma.
The tradition started like after Nicene gathering, after Nicene Creed. Okay, and that's 40 days. It starts 40 days until
Easter. Until Easter.
Until Easter.
Until
Okay.
Easter. If there was
so it's 40 days. So it's Wednesday, and Easter is Sunday. Is it correct? So like
so Easter will be 40 days from today.
40 days, so 36 plus. So it's like what? Wait a second. No. Wait a second. It's how many weeks? It's like.
It's like
40 days and 6 weeks.
6 weeks and 4 days, right?
Well,
5 days.
So
yes, 5 days. Yeah, good in maths, right?
So it goes to the because there's the Simeon controversy where they would conclude the mass, and this goes even before the Council of Nicaea because it has to do with because before the Council of Nicaea, they had not set the date of Easter because the date of Easter was determined. This is before really Christianity had become the state religion of the Roman Empire, and so Christians were getting tired of asking their Jewish neighbors when the Passover. So that is why Easter is not in alignment with specifically now that we're on the Gregorian calendar to keep Easter on. It's no longer in alignment with Passover. So this is a split. So there's a division here, and also it was to keep Easter in the springtime because as the seasons it's instead of it being because as the Hebrew calendar and the Hebrew calendar and the standard calendar were no longer in alignment. So they were and so they wanted it before the first liturgical equinox.
Where's the
after the first.
Wow.
It's very complicated. And
none of this sounds right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Where'd you get this from? This is out left field.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is accurate.
But this is why so with the Ash Wednesday, that in itself it's just set, and of course that's why Easter of course floats, but it's no longer tied to the celebration of Passover, even though Good Friday is supposed to mark Passover.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why you disagree? Tell me.
It sounds like some the whole church calendar is something.
Yeah.
And I don't know, some of the things sounds like some propaganda from some different places that I don't know where, but none of that sounds like something you read in some.
I do have here, so this is a little article, and it's actually from our little what is it, the Museum of the Bible? Over here, I know a lot of the students here up in there. They produced this short little article. So Lent is the older between Ash Wednesday and Lent. That Lent is older, and was established and accepted only after the early church sorted out how to calculate the date of Easter. Yeah. Council of Nicaea 325. All the churches agreed that Easter, the Christian Passover, should be celebrated on the Sunday following the first full moon after the vernal equinox.
Yeah.
It's called
Yeah.
Since the spring equinox usually falls around March 21st, date of Easter in the Western Church occurs between March 22nd and April 25th. And it also says in 601 that the start date of Lent was set, that Pope Gregory moved the start of Lent 46 days before Easter and established Ash Wednesday at the same time to allow for 40 days of fasting because they do not fast on Sundays. So you got your 6 extra Sundays.
So it's more than 40 days?
I guess it's 46 days before, but it's 40 days of fasting.
Okay, but Ash Wednesday and then Easter is in 46 days or in 40 days?
Calendar.
46. Okay, interesting. Okay, it's not 40, but
Does that
46.
correspond to the 40 days the Lord spent after his resurrection prior to the ascension? Is that maybe?
Well, maybe the number 40, but interesting that it's 46. Okay.
Well, but the 6 Sundays. don't
6
count.
Sundays.
You eat those days. So it's 40 days of fasting and 6 days.
I see, got it.
Well, actually,
Okay, thank you. It's helpful.
Because in the church calendar, you're going to have Palm Sunday, which is a Sunday. So you probably have 4 Sundays of Lent, and Palm Sunday, and Easter Sunday, right? Because Palm Sunday is the day.
I don't know. I'm lost.
It's okay, you're Jewish. You
You
can
know
be
that
lost.
debate about changing.
Nobody blames you for that.
God made it simple,
Changing
right?
it. What is it called again? The
So it was actually
it was at Nicaea.
it was before. It had to do with it actually had to do with what's his name? John Polycarp. So Polycarp was that he would end the fast on Good Friday instead of Easter.
Well, here's the thing that previous
encyclopedia.
to Nicaea,
Yeah.
resurrection was celebrated as part of Passover.
I was the
Even in
facilitator.
Italy, Easter is called Pasqua.
Mhm.
And at the reports, the records of the
Mhm.
Nicene Council, mostly we think of it as a Christological issue, but they officially changed it away from celebrating with Passover to the dates that it's now related to the spring equinox. Why? According to Constantine, to get out of to separate ourselves from the odious company of the Jews. That's what it says in the documents of the Nicene Council. So
Cool.
And remember, the Orthodox Church, the Eastern Church, celebrates it at a different time too.
Yes, they do.
And that has to do with the fact that they're still in the Julian calendar.
Well, it's very educative. Thank you. And I understand it's all about food. It's like with Jewish people. I'm just kidding. Anyway, why 40? Do you know what is there significant with 40 days?
Deliverance isn't that the biblical number for deliverance? Just a guess.
I mean,
Why deliverance?
I think it has to do
Well,
with
at
the
least
40 days of fasting that Jesus went through
Leading
when
up
he was
to
in the
Passover.
wilderness, and also the 40 days.
40 days are the number 40 is very significant in the Bible.
Or 40 days from Passover to Shavuot.
It's cool. By the way, just a little bit also educative fun. Last night I asked ChatGPT just for out of curiosity, what is the significance of number 40 in Judaism? And it gave me nonsense. Seriously, one of those was between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. There are 40 days.
No.
And I texted GPT back and say, well, there is no 40 days between. And then the answer was, oh, I'm sorry, it's my mistake. And then it tried to rationalize why it's 40 days. I mean, it apologized, but the algorithm couldn't change itself anymore. So don't trust ChatGPT on this. So I never, even especially in rabbinic tradition, I never had any single right and correct Talmudic reference given by ChatGPT. So always proof and don't
Ask
be
Claude.
careful. Sorry?
Claude is another AI.
Well,
according to Zahava Glazer, much more accurate.
Okay, but still, just do your research, okay, and prove everything what you find there. Okay, number 40. I know that at least Nikki did some research on that, but it was already mentioned. Jesus 40 days in the wilderness. What else?
40 years that Moses wasn't.
What?
When Moses wasn't.
Moses was
He said 40 years.
40 years.
In the desert
In the
after
wilderness.
killing the Egypt person.
40 years in Egypt, 40 years in the desert,
Yes.
and 40 years in the desert with Israel.
Mhm.
So 120 years total. Okay.
Yeah, he was 40 when he decided to go to his people and visit, and that's when he ran away. He was 40.
Yeah, 40 is the age of maturity. You're too young to be mature.
Yeah.
He was on Mount Sinai for 40 days too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
40 days on Mount Sinai. Yeah, twice.
40 days in the
Yeah.
flood.
That's interesting.
40 days and 40 nights of the flood. Yes, cool.
40 for the 40 days until the ascension. So 40 days after Christ ascension.
Yes.
Okay, so between his resurrection and ascension, 40 days.
Yeah, the spies for 40 days over the land.
Spies 40 days in the land.
Yep.
And then like a year in the desert for a day in spying. Yeah, right.
It's like
Cool.
intensives.
Anything else? Nikki, what is there on your list, if anything left?
Well, there's a lot of things. There's also Moses was 40. I'm sorry, not Moses. David was also 40. I think he was 40 when he became. Where is he? But I know he was.
So
king
kings
for
were
40
ruling
years.
for some for 40 years.
What?
Some kings were ruling for 40 years.
Yes, David was king for 40 years. Solomon was king for 40 years.
Saul was too, wasn't he, for 40 years?
1010 to
Probably, yes.
970, 970.
Kings were-
Yeah, Saul was
10,
also
10,
king for
10,
40
to
years.
970, 970, 930. Those are the three first kings.
Kings were anointed at 30, right? At 30 years old. And that's
Mm, Priest.
And Moses was
and kings, right?
had a threefold 40-year impact. 40 years,
I don't think so.
Yeah, so
So he
40
fled,
years in Egypt,
40 years in the wilderness, 40 years as leading
Which
Israel.
king?
Yeah.
There's also, what was the one I was about to say? Now I forgot. Oh, 40 days in Nineveh. That's actually the last instance of 40 in the Old Testament. Is interesting. When Jonah goes to preach to the Ninevites, 40 days and the city will be turned over. 40 stripes is the max you can get.
40 less one.
Well, not according to Paul, but
There's 10 40s, when you consider that there's 400 years between, so there's 400 years, so there's 10
yeah,
40s
400.
between 400 years of silence, 400 years in Egypt. So
Oh,
they
yeah.
have 10.
I thought 1040s are tax points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isaac was 40 when he married Rebecca, and Esau was 40 when he married the two Hittite women.
Okay. Interesting. So 40 is a very important number. Okay. And in the New Testament, it's what we mentioned already, right?
Yeah, in the New Testament, it's, 22 times in the New Testament, we mentioned Jesus in the desert, his appearance afterwards. We have the man outside the beautiful gate was 40 years old. We have in Stephen's sermon in Acts 7, he mentions a lot of these, which is kind of interesting because he mentions them right in a row. So why would he mention it was 40 years, 40 years, 40 years? Most of them, yeah, are references to the Old Testament, though.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So the Ash Wednesday in the land, it's not Jewish holiday. It's not directly in the Bible. It's church invention, and it's a church holiday. I would not claim any Jewish roots for Ash Wednesday. So we call the brownback Jewish Ash Wednesday ? It's one of those seldom brownbacks when the answer is no. So it's not Jewish, but interesting that it's attached to the number 40 that is very dear and important for the Jewish people and for our history. And now I would ask Dr. Radolnik to read the verse.
Poem.
The poem.
It's a longer poem, but I'll read it to you. You'll be able to follow it. It's written by someone named Daniel Rabbi. I can't find anything about him on the internet. Someone sent it to me and Eva. I think the first time they did an Ash Wednesday service at Moody for our students, there were a couple of profs who belong to Anglican churches, and they did Ash Wednesday services for the students. And so someone, a Jewish believer I know, sent me this. I don't know who let me just put it this way. You can't find the author on the internet. Jacob just said to me, I looked for that poem on the internet. Can't find it. Someone sent it to me. So here it is. Ready? Ash Wednesday. 1. As far back as we can remember, we remember dust and ashes. In the beginning was dust and ashes. From dust we came, to ashes will return. First there was Job, and his sons and their catastrophe, a dust storm and the smell of burning wool. He sat in a pit and picked his sores. He heaped the ashes of his children upon his head. He screamed his voice raw and accused the name. Eventually, the name comforted him with snow from the heavens. But the name did not answer Job. We remember Job and his children. We remember Aaron and his sons. They heated their pans white hot and gave strange and foreign fire to the name. The name consumed them. He burned them whole because the name is holy. Our teacher forbade Aaron their ashes. Then he taught us how to give, what to burn, what to eat. We remember Aaron and his sons. We remember when the nations came and burned the house of the name. The smoke rose high above the city of the great king. The smoke stung our eyes, even as we sat by the river in the city of the great whore. Her servants mocked us while we wept, while we remembered our children who were no more. We remember walking back to the rubble. We reused the stones. We built the walls again. We rebuilt his house high and grand. But the name had left and would not return. His anointed came from us and wandered as we did. We gave him no honor. Then the nations came again. Again they burned his father's house and scattered us among their people. We remember the Father and the name of his Son. 2. We remember how the nations stoked their fires beneath us. They dipped us in oil. They used us as torches. They flayed us alive. We prayed that in our last we might remember to bless the name. We smelled our own ashes as they rose in the heat and settled like snow on the crosses above our heads. We remember the hymns they sang. They marched around us, urging each other, onward, onward. We pounded on the doors as our skin began to boil. The smoke was too thick to see their helmets gliding past or the crosses on their shoulders. We remember how they praised the Father and his Son. We remember our libraries, how they were piled in the square. Each flame lapped and licked, singing truth into Heine's prelude. I'll tell you about that in a minute. The fire's thirst is hard to quench. They came to us again. They laughed and pointed as they cut our beards. They mocked and jeered. as we prayed for our dead lying in the street. We were barefoot. We wrapped our shawls around us and bound the name to our heads. We remember walking shoeless in the snow. The name did not answer us, even in the showers. Only in the oven did our flesh grow warm again. The burning of books of life, the burning of the whole world again and again, and 1,000 times again, and thousands of times again. We remember how the pious waved their silent blessing over this strange fire. We remember our fathers and the names of our sons. 3. Ours is a history of dust and ashes. Where were your sackcloth and ashes then? Where was your penance? Wash out that damnable spot, and still we cannot forget the sins of all your fathers. We do not need your ashen cross. We have ashes of our own. When it says the thing about Heine's prelude, about that, Heinrich Heine said those who begin by burning books end with burning people. That was a reference to.
And then pious is a reference to the Pope.
We remember how the pious is spelled Pius, like Pope Pius, Hitler's Pope. Remember how the pious waved their silent blessing. It's a powerful poem.
Mm-hmm. Why is it not online?
Well,
Is it
he
published
the link
somewhere?
online.
What?
You
Is
can't
it
find
published
it.
somewhere?
It's not published anywhere. Someone sent it to me personally.
Yeah, but
Send me the link, I'll send it to him.
Yeah. But anyway, the thing about this poem is that I don't think it's hostile to Jesus. It's hostile to what was done in the name
Mhm.
of Jesus.
Yeah.
That's what I found so interesting. And when Moody did it, I was not thrilled when Moody did a Ash Wednesday service, but I kept my mouth shut. And then someone apparently heard, I don't know who, but someone sent it to Eva and said, you should read this. And it's the only poem I've ever seen by Daniel Rabbi. So, and now I have a cousin named Rabbi, but that's not his real name. His real name is Zelnick, and his wife wouldn't marry him because he had a shtetl name. And so he changed his name to a Hebrew word. So
yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. I don't want to dismiss you on this
well, let
very
me just
sad
say,
note.
I think here's the thing to say. We have a history. I was once, can I just say this? I was once asked to speak about Lent and the Jewish people at Wheaton College. And the chaplain asked me to speak. And I said, you don't want me to speak. It's a bummer. You know, it's for us. You look at the history of what happened during Lent for the Jewish people, it was terrible in Europe. And he said, I think Christians need to know that. And so that's still online. And I talked about that history. But here's the thing, it is something for us to know. The great obstacle of bringing Jesus to Jewish people is this history. It doesn't mean that we have to give up our faith. What you have to do is recognize that there are things that have been done in the name of our faith and in the name of our Messiah that create barriers. We have to break those barriers down.
Yeah. And on a good note, thank you. On a good note, in the several weeks, we're going to remember that Yeshua died for our sin.
Mm-hmm.
He was buried. He is risen. And it's a reason for us to celebrate, to rejoice. And there is a time coming when Yeshua will come back, restore Israel, and heal the world.
Yeah.
And in the preparation for this, go and learn. Just
are you guys going to do a Seder here?
yes,
Yes.
Go to the Seder.
yes,
The ads are on your tables.
yes.
Vladimir just spoke at my church this morning and did a fabulous job. And he addressed a question similar to that. How do I share the gospel? And he said, when you find out somebody's Jewish, tell them I love Jewish people, and it will surprise them because of that history. And they'll go, you love Jewish people? Why? And then you can tell them, because your Messiah saved me. Your Messiah, and you show them joy and peace and all that the Lord has given us, and make them jealous to want that as well. So that's a summary of what I just heard Vladimir speak, and he was great, about 100 people this morning.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Have a blessed day.